7626, southpointcasino.com, or call 866-791-7626. At the South Point Las Vegas, you're always a winner.
I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I miss my...
Thanks, Mike Warren, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show. And welcome to our co-host, Ken Jeffries. How are you doing, Ken?
Nearly the late Ken Jeffries. Sorry about that.
Yes, if you saw
previous engagement,
if you saw a ghostly apparition sort of glide in the background, then that was Ken Jeffries coming in at the very last minute.
I was in the witness protection program.
But it's okay because who needs to be? I think I told you on an earlier show when I was on Tom Leykis' program years ago. The guy shows up in the studio literally 5 seconds before airtime.
Wow.
Gloria Allred and I were all, prepped and primped. Well, she was primped, you know.
You're just prepped.
I just was prepped.
Yeah.
You were pimped, I think. With
something like that. But anyway, and of course, he did his usual fabulous job. He doesn't need to get there more than 5 seconds.
Absolutely. That's the exact philosophy that should guide us all. And the same thing goes for an airplane flight. If you never miss a flight in your life, you spent too much life at the airport.
That's true. On the other hand, they have Wi-Fi now, so I don't care.
Yeah, who cares? Show up 5 hours early, watch YouTube videos of cats.
Our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes, is with us. How are you, Connor?
Doing very well. Happy to be here, as always.
Excellent. So,
weren't you out of town? You were out of town or something? And,
I will be out of town next week. Thank you so much for previewing for our listeners.
So I have to carry the load.
You have to carry the load.
I better show up on time.
On your back and carry it yourself.
But we've got the full panel today and much
and
to
today
talk
as a
about.
Special appearance on our Royal Oakes show, a rare appearance from Royal Oakes himself, the Royal Oakes, who just appeared on Hannity's show on Friday.
Thank you very much.
You know what? I started taping it. I was watching part of it, but I had to shut it off before you
the
went
tape machine
on,
blew up?
No, because I had to go to dinner. It was on 6:30. You were on after 6:30, and I had
Last
it on.
night.
Thank you, my gosh.
DVR'd it.
So here's the deal. I'm sitting in my office minding my own business yesterday afternoon, and I get this call from New York from the producer for Hannity, and they say, oh, could you be on Hannity tonight? Yeah. And I'm thinking, wow, this is great. I've hit the big time. I'm going to be on Hannity tonight. And so I say yes, and then she says, Sean's not going to be there.
Right. He's on vacation.
He's
Memorial
taking
Day.
the day off, and so Jason Chaffetz is going to be the host. And I'm thinking, well,
Jason Chaffetz,
it's still the Hannity show.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, it looked like Chaffetz's tryout for a future job at Fox.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, he quit in the middle of his term, or at least it wasn't a complete 2-year term. I was reading up on him because since I was going to be on the show with him, I figured I'd better look at his bio on Wikipedia. Yeah. So he quits on June 30, like 2 years ago, and July 1, the very next day, he's a Fox contributor consultant. So obviously he knew folks at Fox.
No,
he decided that he was tired of being in Congress or whatever was going on in his life.
He was not going to get reelected.
I think, Ken, and you probably being deeply immersed in the broadcasting world, you probably have a better idea than I do. But I think they pay these contributors, whether it's Giuliani or some of the other big names, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, major money to be.
Well, where's your money then?
Speaking of which, I want to see more of John Phillips on CNN because, he's done a lot of terrific political commentary. He was on CNN, I think, international mostly. I want to see him more domestic because, frankly, I don't spend much time watching CNN international. I don't know about you guys.
That's weird.
Yeah, he does such an amazing...
I like to watch Rosemary Church in the middle of the night.
I don't know who that is.
She's an anchor. She's actually a CNN anchor. She's pretty good.
Really?
She's been with them for like a long time, but she's, I think, out of Atlanta, and she does, I think, the CNN International.
Well, if L.A. radio legend Ken Jeffries thinks you're pretty good, that's pretty good.
You may be pretty good. Well, she may be pretty good, Ken, but I'll tell you this. She's no Julie Banderas. Have you seen Julie Banderas on Fox?
No.
Oh, my gosh. She has some glasses that are to die for. I mean, this is
talking-
Waverly, whatever the trendy...
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker.
You're talking to a guy who's a very trendy glasses wearer. The whole panel here, obviously,
in fact,
for those just
all
listening,
of us
we're
would
huge nerds and wear glasses.
We make spectacles out of ourselves,
I like
That's
that.
pretty good. Good job.
So anyway,
Thank you so much.
I get the word, okay, I'm going to be on Hannity, but it's going to be Jason Chaffetz. That's all right. But then they say, oh, and you'll be on with Emily Compagno. Emily Compagno.
Okay.
Sounds familiar. And I think, oh, well, okay. I look her up. She's a freaking supermodel who's a lawyer and a legal analyst. Okay,
Ooh, that's
she
tough.
does swimsuit, Sports Illustrated.
She's a lawyer.
things.
She's a legal.
She's a lawyer. She's a legal analyst. She also is a supermodel type who was an Oakland Raiders cheerleader.
Dad,
and I
I'm
look
so
at her and I'm
sorry.
thinking, and so I'm looking like Jabba the Hutt next to Christy Brinkley.
Oh,
here.
no.
So it went from
Pizza
really
Hut.
great to it was okay.
That's
no, it
rough
was fun.
life.
We talked about Jussie Smollett
Yeah.
and the fact that they're unsealing his records, even though there is this funky Illinois law that says if you're found not guilty or if they drop the charges, as in Jussie's case, they drop the charges, you can have your stuff sealed.
Yeah.
And one of the purposes is it's a big problem when guys get out of jail or prison and they want to go get a job.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at them and says, oh, you had a brush with the law, we won't even look at you.
Right.
And it
Right.
perpetuates the cycle of poverty, which is a big deal. So I can see why you've got these laws,
That's
such
great
as
law.
Illinois has.
I think
but the purpose of it is to help people who would be discriminated against. Jussie Smollett went on national TV,
And that's what the
intergalactic
judge
television.
said.
Yeah. The judge said, you've waived your right to privacy, and so
exactly.
we're releasing it. So we talked about that. The second story we talked about was Harvey Weinstein and how his insurance companies are stepping up to the plate to pay $44 million to settle about 80 sexual harassment suits. And I think, Ken, about $13 million is going into the lawyers' pockets, and so $31 million will be going to the victims.
I'm in the wrong type of law. I got to get in that game. $13 million for basically going, Harvey Weinstein's a creep, right? And everybody
$14
says,
million.
But actually,
oh, God,
the
14.
big story is you grew a set of headphones. I just realized that.
I did. Well, I forgot my my little IFB deal. So
But these are
I've got the
extremely
headphones.
stylish.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't go for anything but stylish headphones. So the third and final story we're talking about on Hannity is this horrible guy that killed the two parents and then kidnapped the daughter.
Yeah.
And then she escaped after months, and he confessed. He didn't. He said, "I'm not going to force everybody to go through a trial." So that's the only good thing he's ever done in his life, I'm sure. But the news is he got life sentence, life without parole, and people are saying, if ever we would want the death penalty, it would be a guy
for that
who
guy.
literally planned. He decided he wanted to capture, torture, sexually terrorize a girl, and he decided he saw her coming out of a bus, and so he stalked her, he figured out where she lived, he planned, and he ended up killing her parents, kidnapping her for months. Isn't that a candidate for the death penalty? But unfortunately, Wisconsin doesn't have the death penalty.
Yeah.
You could be Charlie Manson times 100.
Right.
And anyway, we're stuck with that.
Charlie Manson times 100 didn't get the death
Yeah,
penalty.
that's true. The irony
true.
was he was on death row, but then California's Supreme Court in 1976, I think, said, oh, the whole capital punishment situation is totally broken and everybody is off the hook. We're all putting them into life.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's essentially what Gavin Newsom has done now.
Yeah,
He's
it's true.
given reprieves to everybody on death
Commuting
row.
just one by one.
One by one.
I mean, it's
What about future sentences? Is that
one by one. They'll come up and he'll.
But here's the irony, Ken. The district attorneys doing their job in the vineyards of
for
the
it
law,
anyway.
they keep filing death charges and going through the process of getting a
Wasting
capital
money,
punishment. Yeah, so it's kind of weird, but
Yeah,
I don't
these-
see any big revolt by the people against Newsom.
No, these horrific scenarios are definitely a situation where I think bad facts threaten to make bad law. In view of the people who are in the middle, when you see the horrific, the worst possible, the worst of the worst, I think those really shouldn't be the scenarios you're looking at. I think we should be looking at either the middle or even in the spirit of we should let an innocent, a guilty man go free rather than execute an innocent. We should be looking at the edge cases, the dangerous cases where we might be putting somebody who maybe doesn't deserve death but only deserves life, or maybe is innocent and we're worried about the possibility of innocence being executed. And that should be the area that we should be thinking about when we discuss capital punishment, because that's where the downside is. And the upside of getting to execute somebody just because they're the worst of the worst, is that a big upside? Is that what we should be analyzing from a policy analysis
Connor,
perspective?
you should have been on Fox News on Hannity last night to express that opinion.
Next time you bring me on Hannity.
Why would they call you at the last minute to be a guest on the show?
Well, the first 73 people said no, Ken.
Well, that's what I was.
Thanks for asking. It's a little awkward, but
no, I mean that to me is you would think that they have good producers over there. I think two of them. And these guys, they were good guys, and they seem to know what
I think
they're
usually
doing.
they book a little ahead of time. Sometimes they call a day or two ahead of time. Sometimes it's the last minute. It's a beast that has to be fed.
Yeah.
All of these shows,
What if you couldn't do
CNBC,
it? What if you
MSNBC,
had-
every day, dozens of guests an hour.
Where did you have to go to? Did you go to a studio, the LA studio?
Yeah, on Armacost in West LA, a couple of blocks from the Fox headquarters in West LA is where they have a little bureau, and it's a tiny.
Were you in the
little
same studio as Larry Elder? Because he was also on that.
Yeah,
show.
no, it's funny you mentioned that. Larry does his hit sometimes from a Glendale remote studio, which is near his radio station.
Oh, I didn't know.
KRLA, where Jennifer Horn does her morning show with Mike Horn's daughter. So anyway, Larry did a great job, as always. But the end of the story is, of course, I was so resentful of being put on with this beauty queen that, I got a couple of drinks in me, and I ended up saying on the air to her, "So you think you're so pretty? Is that why they put you on the air?"
Yeah, sure you did.
And then security escorted you out.
Said, perhaps we could have an intervention for Mr. Oakes, and so she got the last word.
Yeah.
So I mentioned intervention.
That was a
because
good segue.
Eases us into our top
Segues
story.
are us.
Our top story is crazy Nancy Pelosi wanting an intervention for Donald Trump.
Right.
And it was such a weird feud that everybody was talking about this week and observing.
Yeah.
I mean, as I understand it, there's a big meeting set at the White House with Trump and Nancy and Chuck. It's great that we know them by first name, like Elvis and Barbara. That's all we need is Nancy and Chuck.
Yeah.
So they're going to talk about infrastructure. Well, apparently before the meeting happened, Nancy says or tweets or something that Trump's engaged in a cover-up.
Right.
And he goes ballistic, and apparently they show up, and he walks in only long enough to say, "Oh, you're here to talk about infrastructure. I don't think there's a lot to talk about because, with your endless investigations, and you're saying I'm engaged in a cover-up, I don't really see how we can work together."
Melania got upset because she found out Trump was engaged.
Yeah.
You're engaged? Wait a minute. I
That
thought
could
we were
be
married.
awkward.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, well, and we're going to get to Melania's embarrassment about the whole Stormy Daniels thing, because part of the week's stories is Stormy was entitled to $300,000, and Avenatti used it to put down payment on his Ferrari.
that's another.
I can hardly blame him. That's a really cool car.
Really cool car.
But anyway, so let's talk about the feud. Fox, since I was focused on Fox yesterday, I watched a little bit of it, and they ran a clip with 12 separate stories on CNN, their competition, where the panelists used the phrase, Nancy has gotten under the president's skin. And the Fox advocates, partisans, they're just as partisan as the CNN is on the other side, pointed out that these are the talking points that have been distributed to the Democrats. We've got to get the word out to the nation. You can get under Trump's skin. And it reminded me of the great line that Hillary had during the campaign. Do you really want to trust the nuclear codes with a guy who you can bait with a tweet?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really a powerful message.
Yeah.
Wasn't it powerful enough?
Yeah,
because when you factor in Hillary's personality and her bad pastel pantsuits, she lost the election. But what do you think of it? Do you think it's a good strategy for the Democrats to go back to the well of this guy is baitable?
Yes.
We get under his skin. He's irrational. And then Nancy
he'll impeach himself. Which
yeah,
is what,
and she polished it off by saying there should be an intervention for this guy.
Yeah.
Conjuring up the image of the family members like, Eric and Don Jr. are going to talk sense to Dad. So do you think this is smart by the Democrats?
I do. I think it is a good tactic to point out Trump's actual weakness, which is he is weak to criticism, personal attacks.
Well, he's sensitive about
sensitive, exactly.
Yeah.
He is thin-skinned. You can get under his skin. He will react badly. That is a real, actual thing that Trump struggles with, and that makes him unsuitable for public office, especially the office of the presidency. I mean, this is the most important position you can possibly hold in the U.S., And you need somebody with a calm demeanor, and the guy does not have the demeanor for it. He's literally the least apt person to be president ever.
Come on.
He's a stable genius.
Stable genius.
Where in the world would anybody come up with the phrase, I am a stable... Have you ever heard of anyone saying that about themselves?
Mr. Ed.
Did Mr. Ed say that?
He's got
a horse?
Of course.
He's
He
got
called
4
himself
hooves.
a stable genius?
Stable genius.
He's a horse.
Very good. I did.
Stable genius.
I knew he was a smart horse.
That's good.
All right, when we come back, I'm going to explain why it was really smart of Trump to react the way he did.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Stable.
Is getting a full night's rest a struggle because your sheets won't stay in place? Do your sheets make you hot at night, causing you to toss and turn? I've been there, but not anymore. Thanks to MyPillow's Giza cotton sheets, I'm getting a full night's rest without the hassle of fixing my sheets. Giza cotton sheets by MyPillow are made with the world's best cotton. It's called Giza, G-I-Z-A. It's grown only in a small area near the Mediterranean Sea. Its cotton is so super smooth and breathable, and they're extremely durable, made with deep pockets that'll fit over any bed. And just like those My Pillows we love so much, our Giza sheets are made right here in the USA with 100% machine washable and dryable cotton. Go to MyPillow.com and order your Giza sheets today and receive 30% off and free shipping when you use the promo code WINNER. That's right, free. That's MyPillow.com and promo code WINNER. Get yours today. Go to MyPillow.com, promo code WINNER.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was the location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for two. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Song here, their bumper music.
Yeah, Glad All Over that you played it.
It's
Glad All Over by
an obscure little tiny British underground band.
Cinco.
Do you know who it is?
DC Cinco.
Dave Clark 5.
Dave Clark 5.
They were rivals
literally
of the Beatles
no
at
idea.
one time.
Oh, incredible.
Literally no idea.
Wonderful hits.
Really?
Yeah,
The Dave
go to
Clark
YouTube.
5.
Actually, I think they were inducted into the Rock and Roll
How
Hall of
have I
Fame.
never
Not
heard of
surprised.
that?
Oh my gosh, Connor, you got to
Because
check
you're
it out.
too young, you whippersnapper.
Too young, but you just go onto YouTube, and plus you've got Alexa now. Did you get this for your mom?
Yeah,
or
I
did
did.
you get? Okay, so we've got an Alexa thing at home, and
So now Jeff Bezos.
don't have
and,
that
and it's
yet.
not a
Here's
big
me.
tower or anything. It's just a little thing that looks like a piece of
Hockey puck.
like
Yeah,
a
it's
hockey puck,
right?
And you say, Alexa, play Jimmy Crack Corn. And I said that, and Alexa played Jimmy Crack
Does
Corn.
Alexa say, I don't care?
Amazing.
But I don't care? Yeah.
No, she played it.
But I don't care.
And Lauren was totally bent out of shape because she was convinced that I was going to ruin the rhythm and the focus of Alexa because my wife Lauren thought that by starting out with Jimmy Crack Corn, that would tell Alexa this is the kind of music that Lauren likes. Really crappy old music. And so, but I don't think Alexa will do that.
She does learn what
Who
kind of
sang
music
it?
you like.
Jimmy Dean or
some
somebody?
kid's
or
song,
Ernie
you know?
Ford, or-
Fortunately, we rarely use the feature around that household. I believe your wife Lauren, my mother Lauren, rarely uses the feature where you just say, Alexa, play whatever music you think I like by saying, Alexa, play music, and then she would play Jimmy Crack Corn if you did that because you ruined her Alexa.
But
Thank
any
you very
question?
much.
This morning you were at the house and you asked a question just out of the blue. I've forgotten what
I
was
said,
it.
Alexa, what is Drake's real name?
Yeah, what is Drake's real name? And boom, Alexa knows. She knows his birth name.
And she understands my question well enough to say, oh, he's talking about the rapper. He wants the rapper's birth name.
Yeah, it was surprising because you were slurring because you'd been drinking.
I've been drinking.
Yeah.
Drinking in the morning, just like Rudy.
Did you say, Alexa, play Nancy Pelosi drunk?
Yeah.
So before we get back to my reason of why Donald Trump is right to respond to the baiting by Nancy, it's time for our feature of Moron of the Week. We have two very stupid people as candidates each show, top of the show and bottom, and we'll vote on who the stupidest is. The first candidate is a very famous guy, Lamar Odom, the former NBA star. And so,
I know where this is.
Yeah, he admitted in his new memoir, Darkness to Light, that he actually cheated to pass the drug test for the 2004 Olympics in Athens. So he knew he was going to flunk. He said, there's no way I was going to pass. I'd been smoking weed every day that summer. Panic set in. So some online research by Lamar showed him how to beat a drug test. Led him to order a, quote, giant rubber black penis.
Oh!
He didn't use that fancy anatomical word. It's probably a Greek word.
Right.
To arrive the next day. So the trainer that worked with him donated what he thought was a clean urine sample, filling the prosthetic and used it to fake pee into a cup as the NBA security official watched. The problem was the trainer had been to a rave the night before. No, he didn't. So it worked out fine.
I got a question.
And it worked. And he said, I couldn't keep my blank in my pants or the Coke out of my nose that summer, so I knew I was going to flunk.
Oh, okay. Maybe Coke. Because I was thinking, like, why are you drug testing for marijuana for an Olympic athlete? There's no way that's a performance-enhancing drug. It's not like you're going to get disqualified for the Olympics. I'm so sorry.
I don't think they were testing for marijuana in particular. They're just testing for every banned substance.
Anything unusual.
Right, but why would that be a banned substance? Now, cocaine, I could see that seems like maybe it'll be
wouldn't all the bad stuff show up in your urine?
Yeah, but who cares? Are you not going to be allowed to shoot hoops because you smoked weed?
Like, I think that they have very strict rules about that. So
he was married to a Kardashian.
Yeah, he's our
another disqualification.
He's our first candidate for moron.
A mild moron.
So here's the deal. I think that Donald Trump, first of all, has kind of an argument. If you were approached by your colleague at work, Connor, and the colleague said, oh, okay, Connor, I think you're a crook. You should go to prison.
Yes.
Oh, we've got to work on that new IT project, Con.
Yep.
Can we meet in the conference room at 10 a.m.? And you'd say, whoa, what do you mean conference room? You call me a crook. You want me to be in prison. I'm not going to work on your freaking IT project. Isn't that what Donald Trump essentially said to Nancy? Isn't that fair and reasonable?
Yeah, but what if you really were a crook?
No, I don't know. I think a lot of Americans, especially since 53% of Americans think Democrats should move on. You had your chance. No collusion, no obstruction. Well, maybe obstruction.
Where did you see that poll, by the way?
Definitely not Fox News.
The flag
in the bathroom,
or just outside. The flag was on it.
Flagpole. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, I got to keep up with Ken here with the stable.
Funny man.
Because 9 out of 10 people think polls are crap anyway.
No, I think
I give you 2-to-1 odds. You won't make it out of Gamblers Anonymous.
I think you're absolutely right that Trump's position is going to resonate with voters, where he says, I'm not working with you until you stop the investigations. Right. But at the same time, has he been working with Democrats on anything? So who cares? Like, what is he going to suddenly start doing that he hasn't been doing?
Well, the other reality, though, is that he beat 15 or 16 people by getting down into the mud and name-calling. He emerged victorious. And then kind of the same way with Hillary. So he's got a winning strategy.
Yep, he does.
I'm not sure that this is all that stupid, although calling himself a stable genius is just off the charts.
And now he's done
weird.
it twice.
Doesn't look good.
When we come back, Subpoena Palooza, are the Democrats really entitled to all of Donald's financial stuff? Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Savor the past and savor the glory days of Las Vegas. Enjoy 70 years of true Las Vegas history as 4 generations of family wait to greet you at the legendary Bootlegger Italian Bistro. Wine, dine, and experience Mama Maria's award-winning original recipes while surrounded by original family photos and celebrity memorabilia. Enjoy piano artistry nightly with music from the Great American Songbook in our main formal dining room. The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, open 24/7, 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard South, in the entertainment capital of the world. The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard South, in the entertainment capital of the world. It's Vegas, baby.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com. 310-873-4422. Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. You know, we provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, CRNTalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku on any TV anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at CRNTalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk. Enjoy Tiki Live, the best cable alternative choice today, with hundreds of premium live TV programming, including ESPN, CNN, Fox News, Disney, AMC, Bravo, XF, OWN, and CRN Talk. Plus no contracts and low month-to-month service. Tiki Live, servicing North America, including the Caribbean. To get started, visit TikiLive.com to order hundreds of channels, including CRN Talk, at a fraction of what you're paying today. Visit TikiLive.com. That's TikiLive.com.
This is the Entertainment Answer. The live-action Aladdin is in theaters, and director Guy Ritchie talks about the big screen experience.
Inherent within the DNA of Aladdin is a cinema experience rather than to a home cinema experience. It's too big a premise and too exotic a premise. In order to fully appreciate that, it's a big screen experience. In a time where there's a polarization between big screen and small screen experiences.
Aladdin, rated PG. For this Entertainment Answer, I'm Matt Mungle.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time.
With our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. If you like this song, ladies and gentlemen, and if you like Paul Rudd, I have an idea for you. Go to YouTube and type in Paul Rudd lip sync battle, and he had an epic lip sync battle with Fallon on The Tonight Show, and the song that Paul Rudd did was Don't Stop Me Now, Freddie Mercury, Queen, and it is through the roof.
Wow.
Terrific, funny. The timing is incredible. You
Paul Rudd is a comedic,
he's wonderful. And he's a superhero, too.
I don't press for time, but I just read a New York Post article that said Jimmy Fallon was really down in the dumps right after he mussed Donald Trump's hair.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, Stephen Colbert beat him in a full year's worth of ratings. Those ratings just came out.
Yeah.
And Fallon was all depressed.
Well, I mean,
Fallon's ratings are in the toilet. I saw it in the paper today, too.
The Tonight Show and all of that.
I mean, it started with mussing the hair, and all the progressives freaked out because how could you be nice to the great Satan?
Right.
But then, basically, the day Trump was inaugurated,
his ratings went down.
the ratings are bad.
Ratings went down.
From the day
Colbert started really going
from
up.
Inauguration day, Colbert and has ridden that horse. And there's a history in late night of this kind of thing. When Letterman and Leno were head to head, and Letterman was very unhappy because he didn't get the Tonight Show, but he got the CBS 11:30 show. Letterman started beating Leno like a drum regularly, but one thing happened, and that was Marv Albert came along, and Marv Albert was the sports guy who was involved with hookers. He was biting their backs.
Can I just say it's like, I don't mean to correct you on the air, but it was Hugh Grant. It was Hugh Grant.
Well,
Marv Albert had the same thing, but it was Hugh Grant.
That as well, and you're right. Hugh Grant came on after he was busted with a hooker, and Jay Leno said,
"What are you
What
thinking?
the hell were you thinking?" Now that was a discrete incident that was great for Leno. However, the problem that Letterman had on an ongoing basis was then related to Marv Albert, because Marv Albert was in the news, you may remember,
pretty much
for
the same
months,
thing.
for all of the stuff with the hookers. And Letterman was a personal friend of Marv Albert and refused to make a single joke about him. And Leno went nuts about it for months, and it helped him creep ahead of Letterman. Then the final straw was O.J. With O.J., Letterman's attitude was, what's funny about a double murder? Could you tell me, folks, what's funny?
Exactly.
And so he didn't make many O.J. jokes. We know that Leno went nuts with the dancing Itos. So the bottom line was that the momentum shifted, and for years Leno went up, Letterman flatlined, and even though the irony is, even though their ratings were much better for decades for Leno and made millions more for NBC than Letterman made for CBS, always Letterman out-earned Leno. You know why? Because Leno went in with a handshake. He didn't have an agent. He went into those NBC executives and said, let's go mano a mano, and we'll come up with something that's fair.
Well, he had an agent, but that Helen Kushnick, who was he fired because she threw a bunch of people under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
But Letterman
silly.
had a fancy agent, and Letterman out-earned him like $5 million a year.
Not shocking. You can't go into a negotiation like that.
By the way, Letterman is more fondly remembered as a talk show host than Leno for some whatever reason.
Well,
Leno was a bland guy.
As a transformative figure. Yeah. He actually took the baton from the mantle of Steve Allen and all these creative, out-of-the-box, man-on-the-street stuff, funky camera things. You remember Letterman had a show with the 360-degree where he started out, you see him sitting at the desk. Half hour into it, you see him upside down. 45 minutes into it, you see his head like this. I mean, that's a funky example of him just
Steve
doing
Allen used to give away
stuff.
hams to the audience, canned ham.
Yeah.
And I think Letterman did kind of the same thing. He did a lot of the man-on-the-street stuff. Really,
it was his ironic, sarcastic.
Johnny Carson was his idol, but he really took a lot from Steve Allen.
Is giving away canned hams to the audience, is that a metaphor for something?
No.
It inspired Oprah to give everybody
a car. You get a car.
Yeah.
You get a car.
But you know what? A bunch of rabbis said, you know what? That's not kosher.
That's not kosher.
Anyway,
I don't like it.
So, and Letterman never recovered. But I do like Letterman's new show. It's on Netflix, I guess. He's had, 6 or 7
episodes. I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
And he's had Obama. He's had Tina Fey. He's had Jerry Seinfeld.
And he looks like Santa Claus.
I think he keeps the beard just because he likes a different look. He doesn't want people to say, oh, that's Dave. Yeah, he's older now. I think he wants something completely different.
And there's also just the element of I was never allowed to wear this beard. I had an image, and I had to be a certain way, and I was on TV constantly. And now he's saying, I'm letting it all hang out. I'm a different guy. I'm doing a different show. This is not me trying to recapture the magic.
The sad thing about Letterman is that I've read 3 or 4 books about him. He was basically a really unhappy guy. I mean, he was he was happy during the hour he was on the air. He was in the moment, and that was his thing. 23 hours other than that every day, he was kind of miserable because he was stressed out. He figured that it was going to be a disaster. It was very tough preparing for it. And that's kind of sad to think of a guy doing that something
Leno
for decades.
Had an outside interest. He had his cars, and he still does.
Yeah, and he was,
and who knows if they're not really the same guy. So it's
totally different. Yeah. And we were talking a minute ago about who who was more highly regarded, Leno was a joke machine.
Right.
I mean, I think he was a terrific joke machine, incredible talent, and talk about work ethic. Every Sunday night, basically, year-round, he would go to the Hermosa Beach Comedy and Magic Club and do his 45-minute Vegas act, and he would read off the cards. I don't know if you ever saw him down there. He would bring the cards his writers gave him for the upcoming week, read a joke. If it bombed, he would literally flip it into the audience. If it was good, he'd tuck it at the bottom of the stack. And then on Friday nights, he would take a private jet and go to Vegas, Caesar's Palace, or whatever.
Yeah, he did work
to
Vegas
stay sharp. Can you imagine? He's doing it 5 nights a week anyway.
Right.
For
And
30
they
years.
said they were weren't banking his TV money. Or what was it?
Right.
I guess
All
he was banking his TV money, but living off his work as a stand-up.
Can you imagine compartmentalizing it, budgeting when you're making $20 million a year?
Chance, no. Not a chance.
Pretty amazing. So let's segue from Letterman being unhappy to Jerry Nadler being unhappy.
Yeah.
The story is we're into subpoena palooza. The Democratic committees are subpoenaing, and they're getting wins out of federal court judges.
Right.
They're subpoenaing all of Donald Trump's tax returns and accounting records and business records. And the excuse is, well, we're here to make laws regulating executive power and overreach, and we need to know if people have violated laws to do it. Well, bullpucky. They just want to embarrass Donald Trump. They don't need to get his personal information to write laws, but supposedly that's sort of an excuse. The other excuse is, well, and a federal judge agreed with him, hey, he said, if you can impeach a president, you can certainly subpoena his stuff. So that's their excuse. But there's this death fight that's going on, and Gerald Nadler is in the middle of it. He is the face of the Democrats' pursuit of Trump and impeachment. And I didn't know this, but you guys were mentioning to me off the air, Nadler kind of got dehydrated and disoriented.
Kind of passed out.
And passed out. It's kind of the Hillary Clinton thing, you know, when she stumbled into her
he didn't
SUV.
lose consciousness, and they did call an ambulance and take him to a hospital because he's a 71-year-old guy, and but he just felt ill and put his head in his hands.
I would think that a guy like that, who is in the absolute middle, the vortex of this death struggle with Trump and all the Republicans and all the right-wingers, I would think he's probably succumbing to some real pressure. He probably is a workaholic. He's achieved this position. He's probably, totally stressed out. He I think, is the kind of guy that probably just takes things so seriously. And it's funny, I contrast him with the image I see of Joe Biden. Joe Biden over the years has mixed it up with some people in a very big way, and most famously the Anita Hill and the Clarence Thomas thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the story I've heard about Biden is that after Clarence Thomas was put through the ringer, and remember, it was not a joke to Clarence Thomas. He sat there and he said, this is a high-tech lynching of uppity blacks who deign to disagree with other people. And he knew his career was about to dissolve in the face of the Anita Hill. I mean, he was about to have a vote when she popped up in the middle of the hearing. So this was incredibly stressful for Clarence Thomas. Biden goes up to him after the whole thing is over, and he wins like 52-48. And Biden says, hey, I hope you didn't take any of that personally. It's just politics and so on. And he said a similar thing to Judge William Clark, who I know from having been an extern for him during law school. Clark went back to Washington, D.C. because he was Reagan's top hand. He was Reagan's closest advisor, and Reagan wanted him to be Deputy Secretary of State. And who asked him questions like, who's the premier of Zimbabwe, and who are the signatories to the treaty in Southeast Asia? What's an REO? And Clark had no clue because he didn't know anything about foreign policy, and it was really embarrassing. Afterwards, Biden goes up to him and says, Judge, I hope you didn't take any of that personally. It's just politics and so on. So I think there are two kinds of people in Washington. I think they're the kind who just figure this is a game, we're going to play it. And then there are the people like Lindsey Graham, whose veins explode on his head, and maybe Nadler, who he's responding to the pressure.
You also had an issue of, we think, I guess, weight loss surgery, and I have no idea.
Well, it's a total speculation, of course.
Well, look at the pictures. He looked like Jabba the Hutt 20 years ago.
He was very heavy.
This guy was very heavy. But
he
looks fine now.
We're all sitting here speculating, and quite frankly, I'm foaming at the mouth too. You're acting away over something I may not know anything about. So I can do it on this show.
Absolutely.
I would say I would push back a little bit on the idea
Jabba the Hutt thing.
On the idea that the Democrats don't need to investigate Trump's personal finances, his organizations, his connections, the influence that other people have over him. When you've got situations like the one we had this week, we've got a humanitarian crisis in Yemen where Saudi Arabia is using the arms that they buy internationally to kill civilians, and every major international organization and charity and the UN are all saying that what Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen is really, really bad, and we should not be okay with it. We should not be allowing it. We should not be sanctioning it. We should not be enabling it by selling them arms. Meanwhile, Congress, bipartisan, both houses of Congress, pass a law that says we're not going to send any more or sell any more arms to Saudi Arabia because of what they're doing to civilians in Yemen. It gets to the president's desk, and you know what? Guess what? He and his defense contractor buddies and his Saudi Arabian real estate investor buddies who've given him tens or hundreds of millions of dollars over the last decades, he vetoes the bill, and then he says, you know what? We're going to declare an emergency over there so we can sell as many arms as we want, no matter what Congress says. They can't supersede it. And so here's $8 billion more arms in the foreseeable future, Saudi, and we did it, and now we're funding the death of civilians. And we look at Democrats and say, oh, should you be investigating Trump's connections and his influence and whether maybe, I don't know.
Is that a Trump impression?
Yes, exactly.
By the way, the state of New York, they're going after his state taxes, which they certainly can do. Yeah. And they might get something from that,
so
including really a taste of
exactly the sort of investigation that the Democrats in the blue wave midterm election sent their new, young, liberal, hip Democrats to go convince Pelosi and Schumer and Nadler and the rest to get their butts in gear and actually do these investigations, and darn it, to start impeachment proceedings as soon as possible, because he's obviously constitutionally unfit for the office, and this is just them following through on the mandate they got from voters.
We're going to put you in the column of in favor of the subpoenas.
I could go either way.
So let's talk Michael Avenatti. I think this is proof of the power of prayer, because I am pretty convinced that Donald Trump a year or two ago said, dear Lord, Lord, if you could just deliver some plagues, just like Job experienced, to Michael Avenatti, that would be so wonderful, and I think I've been a pretty good disciple for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's it for now, Donald Trump.
Maybe the best.
And what do you know? The prayer came true, because what could be better for Donald Trump than to have this plague of locusts hit Michael Avenatti,
literally
obviously
nothing.
brought on himself. Yeah. So the latest is this week. In previous weeks, we learned he stole money from his paraplegic client, and we learned that he tried to cheat Nike. Now we learned that Stormy Daniels was supposed to get $300,000, and it came into Michael Avenatti, and he had a payment due on his Ferrari what are you going to do? Stormy, Ferrari? Pretty clear choice. He went for the car,
right?
And
a new car,
a brand new car. And so
the price is right.
Now here's my question.
Oh my God!
He has developed his strategy. He has said Trump's fingerprints are all over this indictment, and he's going to push the idea that it is the Department of Justice, federal government, that is going after Avenatti in New York and here, and who is the head of the federal government, who's the boss of the Department of Justice, which is in the executive branch? It's Donald Trump. Now, would it be such a shock for him to? All he needs is one juror. You got to have a unanimous vote to convict somebody of a crime. Would it be such a shock to find at least one juror on each of his many juries that will decide his fate, who say, let's see, I hate Donald Trump, I kind of like Michael Avenatti, I kind of believe that it was Trump, I'm going to vote not guilty.
Are these jurors?
By the way, it's a Valley Girl. Are you doing a Valley Girl accent?
The best I can.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's a good strategy for Avenatti. I think it's bat poop. Crazy, but I think that it's a good strategy. This is radio, Ken. We've got to be careful with our words.
Yeah,
no, but
but
exactly.
I
think you're right. I think that finding a virulently anti-Trump juror is probably his best prayer. Strategy. There's no other legal strategy he could muster. What else is he going to do? He's Michael Avenatti. He's dug himself into the deepest imaginable hole.
From the karma department, is there really karma at work when one of the circuits listening to one of the Trump tax cases was headed up by Merrick Garland?
It is headed up by Merrick Garland. Yeah,
is that a big deal?
Yeah, people keep tweeting that as though it matters. Being the head of the circuit means you do a little bit extra paperwork. Even being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is effectively irrelevant. Roberts gets the power to decide he gets to write the opinion on certain cases so that he can keep a narrower holding. But really, big picture, it's not going to.
Right. Let me ask you the specific question.
Yeah.
Donald Trump loses in the trial court in the District of Columbia on the subpoena issue, he challenges that by appealing up to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals.
Right.
The Circuit Court of Appeals consists of about 15 judges. They don't call them justices for some reason. They're justices on the state appellate side. And of the 15, 3 will be picked at random to hear the Trump appeal. Garland is one of the 15. He may be one of the 3 picked at random. If somebody loses and they ask for the full en banc panel, they would have 8 or 9 of those 15, in which case it could be Garland. He may even be officially a part of it because he's the head judge. Here's my question. If you're Merrick Garland and you randomly are chosen to hear Trump's appeal, do you recuse yourself?
Yeah.
Because after all, you have some history with the Donald.
And you probably do, because recusing yourself is not just about whether you can actually truly offer an unbiased opinion, which, maybe he's a Superman and can. Recusing yourself is also should be done when even the appearance of impropriety might result. So pulling yourself out of this situation is safe, and it prevents people from casting doubt on a certain result, whatever the result may be, when it comes out. So he should do it regardless, just because the reasonable appearance of impropriety
we're not there yet, right?
But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. No, not yet. But he should recuse himself, even though I think he probably could give an unbiased opinion.
So when we come back, we are going to have our second candidate for Moron of the Week, and we're going to find out why there's absolutely no way the U.S. Supreme Court is going to mess with Roe versus Wade. Stick with us on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show. Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. We provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, CRNTalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku, on any TV, anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at CRNTalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk.
El Cholo has been around for 95 years. 95 years with the same family, serving dishes that have evolved over the years. No question of that. Things have changed. The menu was much simpler back in the early days, but it's still traditional Mexican food. No strange new wave creations here. This is when you really want to go to the classics, the enchiladas, the tamales, the fajitas. They're all there at El Cholo. El Cholo, a restaurant that generations have gone to. Generations. I've seen great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, children. They're all there at El Cholo, going back for the food that they love. El Cholo, a great tradition throughout Southern California. When you're in Southern California, be sure to look for El Cholo. Check them out again at elcholo.com. That's elcholo.com. You want to taste the tradition? It's El Cholo.
This is Dr. Howard, founder and formulator of Balance of Nature. We're changing America, one life at a time.
Well, I have different vitamins I had to take because of my post-cancer, post-cardiac situation. But the Balance of Nature, that being so condensed and so natural, and is amazing stuff. I haven't felt this good in 7 or 8 years. I would not be able to do a third of any of this stuff. After I started taking Balance of Nature, I started to have more energy. It's a godsend. It really is.
Through Memorial Day weekend, you can receive a $20 discount and free shipping on any first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Again, this special radio offer will only be available through May 27th. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FLASH.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So we do have our second candidate for Moron of the Week to get into. Remember Lamar Odom with his fake member. was the first candidate. Here's the second one, Christopher Fitzgibbon.
Okay.
He spent $4,000 to lower his car. He's kind of a lowrider kind of guy.
Cool.
So only 4 inches of ground clearance, and so he can no longer take his usual route home and back and forth to work.
Oh.
With 6-inch speed bumps on various roads in town. He says, that's an extra 30 miles a day. The speed bumps are too high for my car. I'm being denied my right to drive on these roads.
I like his accent.
Oh, he's from England. Yeah, I didn't mention that. Yeah,
That's jolly good. Yeah,
jolly good.
So, he feels like he's a victim of discrimination. I think he's a moron.
Yeah.
I think speed bumps are good.
Yeah,
and
slow
if
people
he's
down.
going to lower his car to wherever he lowers it to, he just should slow down.
Yeah, I
What do
feel
you
like
guys
that's
think?
that'd be like trying to drive a car that can't make a 90-degree turn and then saying the roads don't turn enough for me.
Yeah.
It's too curvy. I can't turn right. Come on, idiot.
So,
But are we voting now on who?
Yeah, we got to vote. We got Lamar Odom.
Yeah,
who had
I think
his,
that I
fake
still
member.
vote for Lamar Odom.
Really? I think Lamar passed his drug test, so more power to you. Great job. Not a moron at all. great success. Whereas this doofus,
for 5 minutes.
that's
he
true.
married a Kardashian.
This doofus can't figure out how to not make his car undrivable on human roads. 6-inch speed bump's not even that big. Come on.
I still vote for Lamar.
Guy has 4 inches of clearance. That's like
Yeah, I'm splitting my vote to half each, so it's a tie.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
they're
you
both
for
really
that.
stupid.
Thank you for that.
So, as I understand it, you guys are telling. I get all my news from you guys. I didn't know this. President Trump is considering issuing pardons over Memorial Day to soldiers. So, is he going to pardon Robert E. Lee?
Yeah,
and I think he should consult Kim Kardashian before he pardons anybody, because isn't she like the expert?
Absolutely, she is. Yeah. So Trump said that over this last week that he was considering pardons for, quote, 2 or 3 American soldiers who he feels had been treated unfairly, and everyone sort of there's a big backlash where people said these are people who we have decided are war criminals. So we've decided that these people, committed crimes against humanity in their service in the American military, and the military has decided through military courts to court-martial them or convict them in that process. Right. And Trump's sort of trying to hijack that and issue pardons on Memorial Day weekend to sort of be a pro-Trump, pro-military, pro-soldier troop. Trump and troop are very close. Move? What are you trying to do? That is not a pro-military move.
Well,
and that's what everyone said is, why are you taking away the military's ability to judge its own candidates? The one that caught everyone's eye is the White House requested the file on a couple of soldiers. One, Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher, a decorated U.S. Navy SEAL who was court-martialed on charges that he fatally stabbed a helpless, wounded fighter in his custody, an Islamic State fighter, and shot 2 unarmed civilians from a sniper's perch during his 2017 deployment to Iraq. So why exactly are we looking to pardon this guy despite his court-martial?
It seems like Trump is using the pardon power in a way that's different from other presidents, both in terms of the timing and the number and the motivations. But I'm not sure about that, because I don't know if anybody's done the algorithm and figured out
connection to this too. I think
I
these
don't know,
guys may have worked for Blackwater.
Oh my God, that's the worst thing imaginable.
I don't know
that there would be a connection there, that this would actually secretly look like a badly calculated political stupid move and actually be something even more insidious. That's even worse. I mean, Trump, you're right. Trump has pardoned Sheriff Joe.
That's right.
Are other presidents famous for pardoning people who are, politically popular with his base, despite them having committed obvious crimes?
Here's what he should do. I think what Trump should do is say, American public, there's going to be a flurry of requests for pardons near the end of my first term.
Remember, he talked about pardoning himself.
Let's just get it out of the way now. I'm pardoning myself. I'm pardoning Don Jr. I'm pardoning Eric. Melania, I'm still thinking about it. Why not? There's no actual absolute rule about whether a president may pardon himself or not. The Supreme Court certainly hasn't weighed in.
I'm in.
Yeah. And he knows it's a witch hunt, right?
Can Donald Trump pardon a burrito so hot that even he could not eat it? Is that...
Have a great week, folks. See you next time on the Royal Oak Show.